Hello and welcome to I'm doing stupid shit with Clan Boss. So I'm gonna try a couple of things. The the main comp is gonna be Raglan as the lead with her total stats. Um, it's gonna be a double Turvold comp. One of them, not this one. This one's the high damage one. He's consistent damage throughout because of the crit rate or crit damage. And then this one's the high accuracy one. He's lower damage, but he'll keep weaken up pretty much throughout the battle. Not 100%, but like close. And he makes up for some of his lack of crit damage with a Fury set, which is like surprisingly good on him because he does so much damage. Um, and then the last guy is this guy, which I have him at a lower speed than I want. I want his speed closer to 250 or 255, but like this is decent enough. If Raglan can get a turn meter boost on him, it makes up for like the difference in speed that I have. So he should still be able to get 4 turns in per clan boss cycle, which matters for this because he's going to be my only source of attack down. Um, Stag Knight's kind of the star here. I really want to Krisk, but he does something similar, not quite the same. Um, and I have his Masteries set up like so. The big reason I chose to do Lasting Gifts over Master Hexer is because I'm running Turvolds. If this procs the increased accuracy off of the high damage Turvold getting resisted, or on the rare occasions that the lower damage Turvold gets resisted, it can proc it for the 2. And because Turvold goes, the way he cycles his abilities is he uses this and then he juggernauts. And so while these buffs are still up for their one last turn, he'll use this. And if this weaken procs, which it has a 75% chance to, and he gets resisted, if Stag Knight gets the buff on him and then also gets the longevity on the increased accuracy, it doesn't fall a turn off, so keep it for 2 turns, and then he'll just have that buff when he goes to use this again, and that'll give him 1 extra buff for some decent damage increase. And that works on both of them, but mostly him because he has low accuracy. Um, the other benefit here is for Longbeard because this has a 2-turn cooldown, so he can actually help keep Weaken up when it falls off with a 50% increase accuracy. We're going against Ultra Nightmare, so like 160-ish, 170-ish accuracy is like not really enough to keep a buff up consistently, but it'll help a little bit. So these are the main 4. And what we're going to be doing is running 2 keys, one with Longbeard to start. He's super fast. He's about where I want Stag Knight's speed to be. I'd actually rather have Stag Knight faster than him, just so that we can get that increased defense up, or not increased defense, decreased defense up. But it's whatever. And then Arbiter, and I don't have my Arbiter in speed gear because I'm running Raglan, and Raglan's in, or I have my Arbiter only in speed gear because I'm running Raglan, and Raglan has that 2-turn revive. So the way this gets set up is I make sure that like the order on the clan boss matches. Well, I'll talk about that when I get to it. But and then so let's we looked at his stats. Yeah. So we looked at his, and then these are Arbiter's stats. So we're gonna try the 2 different comps, see if they do well. I don't have super high hopes. I think that this team needs a lot better gear and more optimization, or like Krisk, because Krisk is just better. But we're gonna try it. Um, I don't do anything other than run on auto usually, but for this I'm gonna do something a little bit different because I want I want Longbeard. Oh, that fixes everything. So we're just gonna go for it. Never mind. Because if Raglan doesn't turn meter boost him, or she turn meter boosts Stag Knight and Longbeard, then I want there to be a weight on Longbeard using his everyone attack ability. The other benefit of Longbeard with the Turvold that does apply weaken is that he he helps keep it up. I have a different comp that I'm using on Nightmare and whatnot for getting decent damage in. It does like 50 million to Nightmare, which is pretty good. Oh, the way I have everyone else except Stag Knight's Mastery set up is they're all defensive Masteries. So they all do counterattacks, buff removal, counterattack on, stun, freeze, procs, etc. So Stag Knight's the only one on my comp that actually has support Masteries, and that's because he's a buff debuffer. I'd have Krisk set up the similar way, but I found that I really like the defensive Masteries on pretty much all of my other people, especially damage dealers. Longbeard has them because I just don't care about him actually applying the debuff that he does have. I'd just rather him do this and get in for a little bit more damage. So that's where that stands. I'm pretty sure if I manualed this, it'd be a little bit better. I could optimize damage a little bit, but it would take me a lot of time. I've never been really big on manualing clan boss keys, so I'd have to get a better feel for like the way my team ends up cycling and how to micromanage like Raglan's variability and whatnot, because it gets really weird. But it is what it is. So this is gonna be a longer video. Runs will happen pretty quickly back to back because everyone's geared. The other reason that I set up Stag Knight is my clan's currently killing Nightmare all of the time. But on Force and Spirit, I have a little bit of trouble with my current comp. So like on Void, it can deal about 50 million to 52 million. Those were like the peaks that I saw. On Magic, I don't remember how much it dealt, but I think it dealt like 45. It might deal less or more, depending on how that works out. But the comp is Raglan, the Turvold that can apply weaken, Rotos, who applies my defense down, Longbeard, and then Altan to keep attack down up. So it's really nice because all of my main buffs, or all my main debuffs, come from just A1s, and then I'm using Longbeard to get more A1s in. So I have my turn meter boost, my defense down, my weaken, my attack down, all on A1s. The comp's really fun. Like I enjoy watching it. Sometimes it'll go ham with Rotos, and then him getting. He's also in defensive masteries, even though like everyone in that comp is kind of the buffer debuffer kind of people. Altan's the only one in a support tree in that comp. It's kind of cool, and that's just because I wanted him to have lasting gifts. I was actually gonna put him in a defensive tree, but I wanted him to have lasting gifts for Turvold and Raglan, because Raglan dying is a huge rip at any point. But the issue with Force and Spirit, so Force like counters that comp pretty extensively, just because it's 3 Magic champions. Spirit doesn't try and punch the Magic champions, and that's a problem because Spirit will end up prioritizing punching Raglan really heavily. I don't know why she's hated by Clan Boss so much, but she is. And so that causes different problems. But Void and Magic don't have that issue. So like Rotos and Turvold will end up taking a lot of punches, which is really good. See, here's where I think that Arbiter ends up being better for this comp, because she'll be able to pick up both the Turvolds, and then Raglan just mostly becomes like picking them up in the interim. But the problem I've had with Arbiter is that she'll sometimes end up cycling on auto, where she picks up people at missing those procs is really bad. Yeah. Well, she didn't die from that though. That's some consolation. She's probably still dead, so this is over in under 6 minutes, which is unfortunate. Yeah, Stag Knight didn't get picked up. Not terrible damage. That's just not good enough. I have a better comp for this. So Stag Knight kept attack down and defense down up pretty reliably. I don't think there's going to be a significant difference between that and the Arbiter comp, to be completely honest. Come here. Where did she go? Why did I include my Volt? I literally removed my Volt earlier. I moved everything to my Volt earlier for. Okay, so switching these guys around in priority because so I want Arbiter to always be the first one in line from Raglan because on auto she prioritizes the next person in line for revives. We didn't see that with Stag Knight. I think it's because Turvold has such high power um, that she ends up prioritizing reviving him over them. She doesn't usually do that to Arbiter, which is good. She might do it on Ultra Nightmare for some reason or another, but she doesn't usually do it, so I'd be a little surprised. So this might work out a little bit better. Sweet, sweet, increase accuracy. The other benefit of this comp, okay, so he just lost his attack down, defense down. Turvolds are juggernauting, so that's a straight loss in damage. He even weaken up pretty nicely though. See how he has that 2-turn accuracy buff? So this is just going to be a little bit of extra damage, which is really nice. If he gets to go before, okay, yeah, he's going to go. See, it's like every little bit counts. I think that was anywhere from like 50 to 100,000 more damage, depending on how buffs get laid out. He only got a 1-turn there. He's not going to apply the weekend, so we're just going to be losing damage there. I think that's like the big disadvantage of this comp, is just not being able to have the weaken up as often as I want it to. But it's whatever. We're just having fun experimenting. Oh, and so on this comp, there's actually, because Arbiter's in support tree also, so there's less counterattack ability. But Turvold's having counterattack is still pretty good when they proc it. If they're not getting punched, obviously. I'm already kind of liking how many more turns the Turvolds are taking in this comp with Arbiter in here. You'll see that Raglan keeps Arbiter pretty healthy throughout most of the early parts of the fight. Once the Fury starts really piling on damage, that's when Arbiter starts becoming a big target for punches. It's one of the reasons I haven't stuck her in lifesteal gear. What happens is Raglan gets punched in the early fight, but in the later fight, Arbiter almost always has less HP. You'll see their HP is very similar in amounts, but Arbiter will have more damage on her usually because Raglan has the lifesteal. So Raglan will end up not getting prioritized for punches just because the HP difference, and then Arbiter takes them. And Arbiter dying doesn't matter because we have Raglan. And then Turvold's dying don't matter too terribly much because we have a pretty high speed Arbiter who's able to take by herself, like regardless of Raglan's turn meter boost, 5 to 6 turns per clan boss cycle. I think it's 5 currently. I think I need to get her to like 311 or 320 speed to get that 6th turn per clan boss cycle. And then yeah, Raglan getting counterattacks when Turvolds get punched or when Arbiter gets punched is also really rewarding because it's just free turn meter boost. Raglan getting counterattacks when she starts taking too much damage is also really nice for the same reason. Okay, so there's Stag Knight not using his A2 off cooldown, so he didn't extend the debuffs. It's kind of bittersweet. In this particular comp, I'd prefer if he just used that off cooldown, that Hunt Master ability. But it makes sense that he doesn't, because the buffs are still on the clan boss. Already, this comp is looking like it's going to survive longer. Just because it's taking more turns, so it's eating more of the timer before clan boss actually gets to start getting his fury and whatnot. There we get some extra damage because of that accuracy buff. lasting gifts coming in clutch. I kind of prefer the lasting gifts being there. I don't know, like I don't have a hard decision on whether or not I'll end up keeping his masteries like that, because it might be that Master Hexer's just better for getting the 3 turns on the attack or the defense down on occasion. Getting 3 turns on the attack down doesn't matter. He's too fast. He just ends up keeping it up anyway. Arbiter surviving by a sliver is pretty funny. Does she? No, she doesn't have the revive yet. She'll probably survive this next. No, she's gonna get punched. Never mind. So Raglan's gonna be responsible for picking up Turvold. But yeah, so that's one of the benefits with Arbiter is she ends up getting priority with Arbiter plus Raglan. If you don't have Arbiter and lifesteal, she'll guarantee get priority for punches. Sometimes so there comes a point in the fight where like Turvolds get priority for getting punched, but because they're just so much weaker defensively, and Clan Boss is looking to kill somebody. So here's a sad. My Turvolds aren't really fast enough to like catch up to Clan Boss. You'll see they're getting punched because like he can't guarantee a kill on Arbiter, so he's going to guarantee a kill on Turvold, which is really nice with Raglan because she just pops the Turvold up, guaranteeing him a turn, whereas Arbiter doesn't guarantee a turn. But a little bit off timing at the moment. There we go. We'll see. Oh, she used Mercy first. That's not good. Oh, she survived. Bad heal timing. Bad crit timing. Funny that Arbiter survived. This is another benefit. Arbiter surviving stuff like that because she just has good enough defense and HP is hilarious because then obviously Raglan just gets picked back up as long as Arbiter can get her heal off, or not her heal, but her revive off cooldown. This comp was not this particular comp. I had Altan in here and then someone else, I can't, or Venus. It was Turvold, Venus, Altan, Raglan, Arbiter, and it was super fun to run against like hard clan boss for my clan when we were still doing that, and then sometimes brutal. It'll do like 120 million damage to hard, which is kind of ridiculous. Not that anyone cares about that. I just think it's funny. But the cool side to it was that it would do like 60 to 80 mil to brutal. Wow, this is surviving a really long time. What the shit? Which was really good for a lot of my clan. Okay, that's good damage. That's really good damage. But yeah. Anywho, that's all there was to this. I'm pretty sure there's like a little bit of luck there. Probably won't get that much damage consistently. We can try another key. You don't have to sit here and watch through this. I'm just gonna do this for experimentation's sake. See if we can get the 3 key going with the first bad key, seeing as we only need like 24-ish million damage. But yeah, Stag Knight, as long as he's alive and not dying, and randomly missing cooldowns from dying, will keep attack down up 100% of the time. He just has to be fast enough. Does not, I don't think it'll work on a counterattack comp, because then the punches won't have attack down. And if the punches don't have attack down, they'll just kill people. So if you don't have a reviver, which most revivers have turn meter boost or fuck up timings, so you can't really use them in counterattack comps. Also, counterattack comps are just starved for spots anyway. Whereas like this comp has flex spots. Second Turvold, Raglan, and Arbiter are all basically flex spots. The second Turvold's more like a damage dealer, so you could put like a poisoner in there instead, and it'd work out pretty similar. But yeah, keeping attack down up pretty consistently and defense down. there's this little window right here where it's just not on, which is unfortunate. But I think that goes away in the later parts when like he gets turn meter boosted so much that he gets it off cooldown before the next cycle comes up. It might work better with like a Bad L and a Reflex set or something along those lines. Because if Stag Knight has Reflex, then he'll get it off cooldown sooner. Because he'll be getting attacked 1 to 2 times before then, and so it's a pretty decent chance that he'll just proc the cooldown reduction. But it's interesting. I'm surprised this did 25 million. I'm actually surprised it lasted more than 7 minutes. That was kind of shocking. Turvold's just dealing huge damage. I was actually falling out of love with this game. And then I pulled my first Turvold, and I was just like, oh, okay, never mind. Because he's so much fun. He's just a big, ridiculous champion that goes around slapping things. Like on Nightmare, without having like a buff comp or a comp that like it really centers around just getting as much damage out of Turvold as possible, my damage dealing Turvold will still use his Juggernaut to deal like 300k damage sometimes. It's insane. And it's just off of having the one additional buff from Altan. Having had my my Fury Turvold 2 in the comp for a little while, my attack down isn't up. Did he get resisted? It's interesting. It's probably like a big risk with this comp is that attack down can just get resisted. Defense down getting resisted is also kind of a problem because I don't really have backup built in. I could build in backups for one or both of those things by either putting in champs that have them on backup or what have you, but not particularly keen. I actually think that I like the idea of a really, really high speed martyr in something like this, with like an Altan as the primary attack down and martyr as backup attack down. But don't have martyr or Krisk, so I can't do the most shenanigan comps possible. It's funny. Okay, so this is something I was curious about. She got resisted on her first application of Weaken, which procced Stag Knight's passive to give her the increased accuracy, and then her second attack still procced the Weaken chance. And when that happened, she actually placed it because she had like 170 some odd and just beat the odds. Yeah, there's no way. No way. Yeah, he just dies. Okay. Yeah, so here's another unfortunate circumstance. Raglan's kind of the only way that Turvolds are actually getting turns right now. That's fine. That's also fine. That's even better. She'll get to go again, and then she'll turn meter boost. And so the Turvolds will actually get to take a turn. The Huntsman won't get another turn, so there's not going to be attack down, so we probably just die here. Holy. We didn't die, but we're basically dead. Arbiter will get a second turn. Raglan won't heal up enough, so she's going to die to the AoE. Yeah. This is more what I expected to happen. Was just one bad thing to cycle into another. Cause the whole comp to fall apart. So, horrendously inconsistent if you're relying on Stag Knight for both of them. At Ultra Nightmare, I think at lower clan bosses where you can get him to like 200 to 260 accuracy, like I have him at some decent accuracy. I have him at 276. So I think if you get him anywhere like 250 or so, on lower clan like Nightmare and lower. Like he's totally great. Obviously, the lower you go, the less accuracy you actually need to get that to be really really reliable. But if you're missing like an attack down champ and you got Battle Pass and you have Stag Knight, I think he's a workhorse. I'm probably gonna mess around with his gear and stuff at some point. Seems like lifesteal's kind of the way to go, just because I have to have him alive in order for him to keep applying that. I don't think I'll end up using the same comps. I'll probably try and take a Turvold out and put something else in. It might be more fun to do one Turvold, Longbeard, Stag Knight, Raglan, Arbiter, but that might be like too little damage. Um, what I usually use for Nightmare, for example, is this, and it works out really really well. But like again, not so great on Spirit. Like it just doesn't do as much damage. Um, so that's another place I'm going to end up using Stag Knight pretty heavily. Like I'm probably going to rip out either both Rotos and Altan, or just Altan. We'll see. I'll play around with it. See which one gets me optimal damage on lower clan boss or Nightmare. The sub 50% clan bosses for Spirit and Force. I think on Force I have to rip out like Rotos, Altan, and Longbeard and just run a completely different comp. I'm totally fine with that. We'll see. I might end up leaving one of these guys in, like probably Longbeard, honestly. But on Spirit, I don't have any problem running Altan and or Longbeard. I'd probably still want to run Altan over a second Turvold even, just because the affinity advantage is huge. But that concludes this. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them below. If you want to see any other comps, feel free to comment them below. This is kind of what I have currently. Nothing too much below this. It's 6-starred. But I have these guys, and then I have this set of champions. I really, really like Padma. I actually think I like Padma more than Altan, just because once you get to a decent clan size where you're regularly knocking out the clan bosses, you're going to end up fighting the sub 50 clan bosses with more than one key, or at least using your only key on that clan boss for them, and she'll help you get to like 1-key Nightmare comps and help you with Ultra Nightmare if you need to, as long as you can just gear her up. Obviously, Altan's better for anything he has affinity advantage on. I'm just struggling because of the way my comp ends up panning out. But yeah, let me know if you want me to try anything different. I don't ask me to do a double Skull Crusher comp. I used to have double counterattack. It's what I used on all of my clan bosses for a long time. It's how I first got to the point where I was 1-keying Nightmare, was 2 Skull Crushers and then Jarl, Altan, and Venus. And that comp worked really, really well. But I don't want to run it because it's just not fun for me. So I don't run it. Oh, did I pull someone out that I wasn't supposed to pull out? Probably Tormund. Yeah. Catch you guys later.